player ever in the history of basketball, Wilt Chamberlain. I am the greatest.
Well, the greatest of all times. He's right here in front of me. Signed a couple of my books for my young children, and I couldn't be happier.
Greatest player of all time. MJ? Greatest of all time.
All time. Who you got?
I got Wilt.
You got Wilt? I got MJ. I got MJ.
He set league records in his first year and has smashed them one by one since.
Word. Ask me who I want my kids to be like. LeBron James.
Chamberlain grabs the rebound.
If you go by stats, you know what I mean?
Ask him who the best 1 through 5 right now.
Somebody averages 50 and 30. I did not say that.
Wilt has a great night with a total of 41 points.
But 55 rebounds in a single game, averaging better than 50 points a game in a season.
The most physically dominant player in NBA history.
Never having fouled out of a game. Those records are in the book to keep.
Best center, Russell or Chamberlain?
Chamberlain.
Would you like to tell Clyde how many points you would score if you played in the game today? How many points do you average?
Well, you got to understand with the rules of the day, with the offense not allowed to touch you, can't come in and put 3 or 4 guys around you when you don't have the ball. Probably about 65 or 70 might be a good thing, you know.
It's a record 52-point night for the Big Dipper, his first time out.
Best player ever, Michael Jordan or LeBron James or someone else?
Wilt Chamberlain.
Really?
90. Here's a guy, hasn't played in 40 years, still has 90-some records on the books.
He's the first man to score 100 points in a single game. There are few records left for Wilt to tilt.
The first time we played Wilt destroyed Bill Russell.
Wilton Norman Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain was born August 21st, 1936 in West Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Wilt grew up with 9 brothers and sisters. He ran track and field as a youth before playing the game of basketball. He was already 6 feet tall by the age of 10. By the time he entered Overbrook High, he was 6'11". The rules and regulations had to be modified because of his greatness. Hal Bach at ESPN said Chamberlain was scary, flat out frightening. Before Wilt, most players were mortal-sized men. He towered over opponents, he protected the rim like a goalie, and outscored and out-rebounded every team he faced. And because of his dominance and greatness, Wilt Chamberlain changed the game of basketball forever.
Well, the greatest individual player, Wilt Chamberlain, no one could ever surpass what he's done. The greatest winning player of all time is Bill Russell. The greatest ball players, and I could name a lot, of course, MJ, LeBron. There's some great players. Kobe from Philly. Guys that were outstanding ball players. Rick Barry's. There's a lot of ball players that we had that are outstanding ball players. So
The greatest player of all time. It's hard for me to say who's the greatest. In my era, I'm going to say Michael Jordan. I think in other eras, it could be Oscar Robertson, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or Magic Johnson, or even Larry Bird. And I just named some of the greatest players in the game, so.
The most physically dominant player in NBA history, Chamberlain was also among the most versatile.
I like to think of myself as being as complete as I could possibly be, with the exception of the foul line. And if you have a bad day shooting, I always would say, well, Wilt, then you have to go to the boards that much harder. If you have a bad day on the boards, you have to play defense that much harder. But I always, before every game, said to myself, now, this is what I need to do in this game for me to be good in this game and be a valuable asset to my team.
People always say, Wilt, well, I'm great friends with Earl Monroe. Okay, so there's so many guys that come out of so many places. In New York, they had a so-called a vote, and who was the greatest player in New York City, and they voted Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. My idol, and people don't believe it, and I grew up with Kareem, is Lenny Wilkens. Lenny Wilkens is in the Basketball Hall of Fame more than anybody in existence or who are not here. You're talking about player, coach, Olympic team, several times.
The most dominant big man. What the best big man ever. Of all time.
Kareem. Wilt
You
Chamberlain.
can't say Kareem first of all because you don't know nothing about no Kareem. That's the.
What I just said when you asked me for my top 5. If we ain't seen him play, you can't pick him.
You saying Shaq? Everybody in here is supposed to say Shaq.
What do you think, Mike, would have happened, you versus Shaquille O'Neal today? Because people sometimes lump the two of you together.
Yeah, because we're both terrible foul shooters. He plays an entirely different type of basketball game. He uses his physicality, and he's a big, strong young man, and that works well in today's game. If he was facing me and other guys of my time, not so good.
Wilt has achieved records in this league that there is no way they will ever be broken.
Without even feeling ashamed, I was in awe of Wilt Chamberlain. Of course, I remember being in college when I got the newspaper, and the newspaper said that he had scored 100 points, where I thought it was a typographical error. And I found out later that it was true.
The 100-point game that Wilt had in '62, he was averaging 50, but he wasn't just getting 50. He was dropping 60 and 70 and 80. So any modern guy that came back to the 60s, it wasn't just getting 50 every night. To try to match what he did, he was getting some 70-point games as well. He was getting some 30, some 40 rebound games.
Dave DeBuscher, Chamberlain blocks it. It's out of bounds.
To match what he did, it's not that simple. It sounds easy. These guys would have did what he did. I don't think so.
Back to live action as Chamberlain turns and goes to the basket.
If you've never watched a basketball game, you would probably go to that repository where all the statistics are kept, and you will see that this guy dominates. He dominates all the historical statistics. There are those who say, well, he didn't play against anybody. Well, I beg to differ, because everybody that he played against is in the Hall of Fame. And so thinking about Wilt at that time, think about him going up against these All-Americans: Walt Bellamy, Bill Russell, Nate Thurman, Willis Reed, Dave Cowens, Bob Lanier, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all of these great big men, all in the Hall of Fame. And so Wilt, to me, became the greatest center of all because he played and succeeded against all of these big men.
If I had to think about people breaking my records once again, no, I didn't think about that. No more I think about people breaking my rebound record, or people never fouling out of a game, or centers leading the league in assists. If I really was conscious about thinking about, is anyone going to break this record? I'd have probably put that record way out of sight.
Upon the hilltop, graceful heights, aspires against the blue. There stands a school of legend, bright and inspiration true.
Wilt Chamberlain grew up in one of the greatest cities in America. He played one of the great American sports and attended the greatest high school in Philadelphia, Overbrook High School.
Alan Weinberg, Overbrook High School, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I grew up, I was born in West Philadelphia. Everybody who lived in my neighborhood went to Overbrook, except for a few who went to Central High School. You could attend Central no matter where you lived in the city if you qualified. But at Overbrook, we had terrific players, and of course we had Wilt. We had a great team. And
At 6'8" and 195 pounds, thought that I was going to be a star. The problem was there was a gentleman at Overbrook, an 18-year-old by the name of Wilton Norman Chamberlain, or Dip, or Stilt as he was called. Playing against him, I developed a profound humility.
Jimmy Sadler. I grew up in the West Philadelphia area. My family also was graduates of my mother, my uncle. They all graduated from Overbrook, of course, earlier years. Overbrook was always my favorite because there was some ball players that attended Overbrook that I was very familiar with. Jackie Moore, who was before Wilt.
Well, at that time, I didn't know he was going to become the greatest player of all time, but it was very difficult to score against him, even though at our home game, when I first played against Wilt, I lucked up and scored like 30 points on him.
Playing against Wilt Chamberlain was very intimidating because he was 6'11". It's not like he was a 6'5" great player. He was extremely long, He was very gifted athletically, very smart. It's like pitching to Willie Mays. You know, no matter what Willie Mays or Hank Aaron did, I pitched to him, and I'm honored to have pitched to him. It's the same thing with Wilt. I played against him, and that means everything.
During this time, Wilt ran track, set records in the shot put, and won the Public League championship for Overbrook High. From the 1950s through the 70s, Overbrook dominated the Public League with great players and coaches.
Well, the challenges was the pressure of winning a championship because you had a 6'11" player who was going to be one of the best players in the world, and you had to win. There was no chance of losing. And our main competition was West Philadelphia. We always played West Philadelphia, and they only lost to Overbrook in 3 years.
Northeast was strong. Lincoln was strong. Bartram, so-so. But the three main schools was Northeast, West Philly, and Lincoln. And, of course, Brook. They were the four powers. Lincoln had Buddy Hout, Kurt Engelberg, Kessler. Everybody called them the Railsford, the Mayfair Giants. When we got finished, they were the Mayfair Midgets. Because we put a job on it. We beat those guys by 16.
Northeast had some terrific players. I mean, Jimmy Parham, an all public player. Sonny Hill was on their team.
And we played the championship game against Wilt Chamberlain. We couldn't beat him. And Wilt beat us.
And someone said, well, did you ever win? Yes, I played against him. We won some games. For the most part, we lost because he was just so great. Wilt didn't play that much in losing games. My first year, 53, we beat Northeast by about 11 points for the Public High Championship. They had Guy Rogers. Guy had about 29, Wilt had 30-something.
Chamberlain puts away 3 consecutive scoring attempts, a tantalizing talent that generally sends opposing coaches away from the game, talking to themselves.
Well, we lost the championship game of Wilt's first year to West Catholic.
But we still won the championship, the Public High Championship. We went 18-2 my first year. But we lost to West Catholic for the city title game, which was in March of 53.
And then the next year after Guy left, I become one of the top players, I would assume, because I made the all-public team. I was happy to do that. That particular year, we made it back to the finals again and played against Wilt Chamberlain again, and we lost again.
They didn't have a center. And if a team, no matter how good the guards and forwards were, if they didn't have anybody to guard Wilt, then it wasn't much of a game.
Just a pass from a teammate anywhere near the basket, and Wilt does the rest.
My second year, we beat Northeast 60-46. They had T. Parham, and we beat them 2 years in a row for the Public High Championship. Those guys only lost 2 or 3 games a year. They lost two to us. You know, West Philly lost something like 3 or 4 games and lost 3 games to us in 2 years. We played West Philly twice during the regular season, and then we played them in the playoffs.
The 53-54 team was the year that our dominant year where we were 22-0, and nobody could touch us. We beat, I said, Southeast Catholic, which became Bishop Newman.
They had a coach by the name of Rolly Massimino who coached them.
We beat them 74-50. Wilt had 32, I had 17. I missed 1 shot. You know, I had a pretty decent game.
And the next year, we beat West Catholic in the city championship.
And the last championship, I had graduated with Jimmy and Dougie at mid-year. At that time, they had mid-year graduation.
Watch as the slow-motion camera magnifies the wealth of this schoolboy's abilities. First, Chamberlain steals the ball in midair. Then, with a combination of expert dribbling and coordinated speed, the stilt moves up court, setting up a give-and-go play that nets his high school teammates another 2-pointer.
West Philly had Joe Howe, who was a fabulous ball player. Joey Goldenberg, who was a great ball player. Then Chink Scott, who came later. But we also lost that year to Ben Franklin, which featured Claude Gross, who later became Wilt's brother-in-law, because he married Wilt's sister.
And Claude Gross had 32 points in our gym, and they beat us by by 6 points.
Can you believe that we scored 129 points in high school in 8-minute quarters? We beat Roxborough 129-51. Then another time, 123, 128. That's unbelievable. That sounds like pro scores. 8 minutes?
The camera slows the action, and we see Wilt at his deadly best. This type of prolific scoring has caused collegiate coaches to raise many an admiring eyebrow.
I was getting 13 to 14. He was getting 60.
Well, he had 90 points in one game and against Roxborough, and to put it in perspective, he only played 28 minutes in that game. He was taken out the last 4 minutes.
59, 71, 74, 90. That was in high school. The 90 was against Roxborough, the 74 was against Roxborough, the 71 was against Roxborough. They were state records at that time.
They never even counted rebounds. If they did...
Never even counted block shots.
Yeah, block shots weren't counted.
They didn't keep no records of that.
No, he just completely dominated every game against... There wasn't a player in the league at that time who could stand up against him.
More than 60 years ago, Wilt Chamberlain set records in multiple sports. Some of these records still stand today. He set the average scoring record in high school. He set the single game scoring mark and broke it several times. He set the record for the most points scored in 3 years, and he holds the rebound and block shot records. UCLA promised Wilt that he would become a movie star if he moved out to California, and the University of Penn wanted Wilt to stay home and become a basketball icon for the city of Philadelphia. He decided to attend Kansas after the legendary Fog Allen convinced Wilt that Kansas would be a great fit for him.
Well, after Overbrook, Wilt got 120 scholarship offers. Fog Allen came down to Philadelphia. He would be great if he went to Kansas and would change a lot of the thinking about segregation and black versus white people. And
I guess that had a lot of influence on Wilt, the interest that he showed, and Wilt decided to go to Kansas.
Every basketball-minded college wanted this young man, and he finally elected to go to the University of Kansas, where he proved invaluable in sparking his teams to victory. The crowds loved his defensive play as much as his offensive work. For such a tall man, he handled himself gracefully in every move. He blazed through his college years like a comet, and there wasn't a pro team in the country that didn't long to have him.
He played freshman basketball his first year. In fact, they played against the varsity, and he had 53 or 54 points. In that game, they beat the varsity.
Wilt only played 2 years at the varsity level because freshmen were not allowed to play during that time. Coach Fog Allen retired before his sophomore year, and Chamberlain said had he known Coach was going to retire, he would not have gone to Kansas. Wilt had a rocky relationship with new coach Dick Harp. He scored 52 points and grabbed 31 rebounds in his first game as a sophomore, breaking several records in the process and finishing with first-team All-American honors.
Well, Wilt was a track star. He did the 220 and 440. Sports writers said to me that Wilt was the greatest athlete of all time, not just the greatest basketball player, but the greatest athlete of all time.
He was a high jumper in college, not no 7 feet, but 6'6", 6'7", and ran track. Tennis, he didn't bother with that. But volleyball, track, high jump, Wilt was very competitive, man.
And then he played 2 years at Kansas, and 1 year they got into the Final Four.
North Carolina's Tar Heel Quintet, unbeaten in 31 games this year, meets the favored Kansas Jayhawks. Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain and company for the National Collegiate Championship. From the opening moments, Kansas is off its stride as Coach Frank McGuire's Tar Heels take the lead and hold it with a tight ball control strategy. Kansas doesn't get a chance for its freewheeling fast break attack, but the Tar Heels keep dropping those goals.
Then, of course, in the next 2 years, he was All-American, and they lost to North Carolina in a triple overtime by 2 points or 3 points, something like that.
The game goes into 3 overtime periods before the Tar Heels wind it up 54-53. Their first national collegiate championship ever.
After 3 years at Kansas, Wilt decided to play with the Harlem Globetrotters.
I think he said that he got tired of everybody ganging up on him and all the defenses that they played against him, and it wasn't becoming fun anymore. And he decided it was time to make a move.
He ended up signing with the Globetrotters for 1 year, which was 1958. And then he signed, they'd say, for $100,000. And because Boston said they're going to give Bill Russell 101.
And he became a big attraction. It wasn't that he was like tricky ball handler or did things, but he was an athlete, and plus he was Wilt Chamberlain, and he could do things that nobody else could do.
He couldn't go to the NBA because in that time you couldn't go to the NBA until your college graduated you after 4 years. So he had to wait 4 years before he could go into the NBA. The rule has changed. In fact, you only have to play 1 year, or you don't have to play any years. And I don't think that's very good for college coaches, that they get players to play 1 year, and then their whole starting lineup changes because they're going to the pros. And I think it's a terrible rule.
The Globetrotters ran a 3-man weave. Then they would pass the ball to Meadowlark Lemon in the high post. Lemon would just flip it to Wilt, and Wilt would run down the lane with these gargantuan dunks. The first big man in basketball was George Mikan. George was a dominant big man for the Minnesota Lakers. When Wilt entered the NBA, he became the highest paid player in the league. He dominated the game like no other before him. And despite the changes made to stop Wilt, he continued to dominate the game of basketball even with the widening lane.
Then he signed with the Philadelphia Warriors with territorial draft. Eddie Gottlieb signed him. And he signed with the Warriors, and he averaged something like 37, 44 the next, and 50, you know.
Wilt, Eddie Gottlieb is mighty happy to have you, a member of the Philadelphia Warriors. Do you feel that you are ready for this?
I think there will be a period of orientation for me, of course, like it is for every newcomer in the NBA, but I think in the long run I'll be able to handle myself man-to-man with almost anyone in the league.
He finally signed with the Philadelphia Warriors and was up against men of his own size and with more experience. But that didn't slow him. He set league records in his first year and has smashed them one by one since. There are few records left for Wilt to tilt.
As a rookie, he set several records. He scored 39 points per game. No one before him to average even 30 points per game. Wilt scored over 4,000 in one season.
Where Zinkoff, every time that Wilt dunked, he had a saying, Dipper dunks.
At Hershey Park Arena, Wilt scored 100 points in a single game after scoring 73 and 78, respectively.
The 100-point game was against the New York Knickerbockers.
Rogers, inside to Adams, to Chamberlain. He's got it. History being written tonight in Hershey. The big man has broken the record and he's gone for more. We're just conjecturing here how many can he make. The guesses are running as high as 100.
There are only 4,000 people at the game.
And people now read that number, 4,000. Jesus, there's nobody there. Well, that 4,000, ladies and gentlemen, was a lot of people.
For that time.
Yeah, for that time.
Rogers throws long to Chamberlain. He's got it. He's trying to get up. He shoots. No good. The rebound, Luckenbill. Back to Chamberlain. He shoots up. No good. In and out. The rebound, Luckenbill. Back to Rucklick. Into Chamberlain. He made it. The Warrior players are all over him. Fans are coming out of the stands. 46 seconds left. The most amazing scoring performance of all time. 100 points was a big difference.
Cleveland averaged 68 shots a game. Okay. That's this season. 68
You took
shots a game.
one game all the time.
I took almost that many myself when I won one game.
While playing for the Warriors, Wilt had an apartment in New York. And once the game was over, he drove back to New York City with the same players.
Can you imagine going back to New York after you scored 100 against them and beat them?
And I can hear these guys talking. They're saying, can you believe that SOB got 100 points against us? And then I kind of like fall back to sleep again, and then I wake up again, and they spent the whole trip talking about the 100 points and how I should be ashamed of myself what I did to them.
Really embarrassing.
Yeah, you know. And so when I got to my apartment, they let me off. I said to them, "Hey, thanks, guys, but I'm really sorry about that 100 points. I didn't really mean it." So, you know.
Russell won the most valuable player when Wilt scored 100 points in a game. But Russell won, again, because of his thought process for the game and playing with the Boston Celtics, who could do the things on the floor that needed to be done. Russell played with an exquisite team.
The Philadelphia Warriors won 2 championships. One go back to like 1949. They didn't win another one, I'm trying to remember, maybe 1957 or 55, somewhere in there, but the Warriors won 2 championships. Gottlieb decided to sell the Warriors to San Francisco,
who later became the Golden State Warriors. Wilt averaged 44 points and 24 rebounds during his first regular season with San Francisco.
2 seasons after moving west, the Warriors meet the Celtics for the NBA crown.
We were a better team, emotionally, intellectually, and in most cases physically, as a team, as a unit.
The quota was unspoken, but was 11-man roster, and on any team you looked at, they had one of 2 things. They either had 2 African Americans or 3 African Americans. That's it, as great as the players were. The guy that broke the barrier for all of that is the same guy that broke the barrier in Boston, Bill Russell, with Red Auerbach. Red Auerbach said, we can win with African American players. I got Sam Jones at one guard and K.C. Jones at the other guard. Red Auerbach puts an African American team with all of this upheaval that's going on in the country. He puts them on the floor.
The first game at the Palestra. Boston takes the lead.
And it was very historical. Not significant because people don't talk about it and the historical value that it presents. But that changed because of the Boston Celtics playing those 5 players. A lot of the coaches didn't have the courage to do that.
Only 2 seasons after he averaged over 50 points per game for the season, Wilt is still the focus of the Warrior attack. However, the balanced team play of the Celtics, with their lineup of all-stars, give Boston a 3-1 lead deep into the 5th game. And in the final moments, it is Russell who seals the victory.
He played for a great basketball team that had a great coach, and he was a great player himself. But you know what? Teams win, not individuals.
The first time we played Wilt destroyed Bill Russell. Put enough fear in Bill Russell's heart that Russell was going to do anything to beat Wilt.
And he scored on Russell. They averaged 50 points on Russell.
Let's say if Russell was playing with what Wilt had, and Wilt was playing in Boston, they might never have lost the game. Wilt dominated him on rebounds. He dominated him on scoring. There's no comparison. But Russell didn't have to do what Wilt did. Russell had the players around him to do things that he couldn't do. Wilt didn't have that. If Wilt didn't score, they didn't win.
My approach to the Bill Russell situation was a little different than his was than mine, is that I always looked at the fact that we were going against the best team in the world. And going to the Boston Gardens was like, the amphitheaters of the Romans, where the Christians are thrown to the lions. That's what's going to happen to all of other teams that went to the Boston Gardens, because they were so good and he was so good that you wanted to be able to do good enough that at least you can come and say, well, at least I got 40. Well, at least I got 30. We only lost about 20, but at least I got 40.
So they said, let's move the Syracuse Nationals from Syracuse to Philadelphia.
Because we were out of the team for 1 year.
But they have a strong base for television because of the exposure that was there with the Philadelphia Warriors and Wilt. The 76ers had a contest for a new name from the Syracuse Nationals.
They found out naming them the Philadelphia 76ers.
And when they became the 76ers, that's when they wanted Wilt. So Wilt left the Warrior and came back a 76er and won a championship. with one of the greatest teams in the history of basketball.
This year, I was fortunate to take over a team that had the talent that allowed Wilt to play the style of ball he did this year. It was not necessary for him to score in order to win. It wasn't necessary for him to carry the whole load offensively. He had the type of talent to play with, and this gave me all kinds of weapons.
My first 7 years, I scored a lot of points. Then I stopped scoring on my own volition. I tried to do other things. I was asked to do other things, and that's what I did. For the last 7 years, it wasn't about points to me. It was about trying to do other things. So when they compare me with Michael's averaging 31 points for his lifetime. I averaged about 30 points for a lifetime. But I stopped scoring. Understand? Like I'm saying, so if I had continued to score, I would probably be averaging 40 points for my whole lifetime.
Before the 66-67 season, Russell becomes coach of the Celtics, and Wilt begins his second full season back in Philadelphia with the 76ers. For the first time in his career, Wilt is part of a talented and balanced team.
Wilt manages 25 rebounds in the first half, but Philadelphia only leads by 2 at halftime. Boston is not dead.
And they had found this kid, this Philadelphia kid, this phenom, smart, slick, entertaining, and his name is Wally Wonderful Jones.
Chet. Wally.
It meant a lot to me to win at such a young age, to realize what it took to be a champion with 4 Hall of Famers: Hal Greer, Billy Cunningham.
Billy Cunningham has been known as instant offense. He became the 76ers' sixth man.
Chet the Jet and Wilt Chamberlain. And
Chet to Wilt.
In fact, I went to the game where they dethroned Boston in the playoffs. They beat them by about 40 at Convention Hall. I'll never forget that.
I really feel as though that this was the greatest Celtics team. So in being this team, I think it helped to make up a little bit for the other losses we had over the years.
Chet Walker.
It was something that all of the 76ers had been looking forward to a long time, and it finally happened. I had been in the league 6 years, and I'd been chasing Boston for all those 6 years.
Billy Cunningham.
This was the greatest thrill in my life, to beat Boston 4 out of 5.
Jack Ramsey.
We felt we were going to do it, and nothing could stand in our way. Good direction from the coach. And I think that's what it takes to become a champion.
We had really destroyed a dynasty, and we did not only defeat a great basketball team, but we destroyed a tradition.
And they only lost, out of 81 games, they lost 13 games.
But the 76ers have a running, jumping, rebounding pair of stilts, Wilt Chamberlain.
They were phenomenal. And they played the Boston Celtics. This is one of the few times in the Boston Celtics history and Bill Russell's history they lost a series for the championship.
And of course, they went on to win the championship that year.
But to become world champions, you must beat the Western Division winner, the San Francisco Warriors. It's that simple. But there are 2 giant complications. A 6'11" center named Nate Thurmond, and a superstar shooter named Rick Barry. With Thurmond rivaling Chamberlain under the boards and Rick Barry hitting from all over, the Western Division champs fought the 76ers to a 3-2 count.
The Sixers, proud of their all-time NBA regular season record of 68-13, complete their mission by defeating San Francisco in 6 games. After 7 seasons of individual glory, it is Chamberlain's first taste of ultimate victory.
The 76ers win by 3 points. The glory and the NBA title, all theirs.
Chet sums it up.
And we did it the hard way. We did it on the road. It's a great thing to be world champs because you're not only the best basketball team in the United States, you are the best basketball team in the whole world, and that includes Russia and China and every place.
And the year before, Boston had beat us by 30. So we had Boston by 40 in the Garden. So when we had them by 40, Dolph Schayes started subbing. So Wilt ran by the bench and told him, don't sub no more. I want to kill these guys. Well, Dolph Schayes didn't pay him no mind, so Dolph Schayes kept subbing. And we still beat them by 39.
To ensure the lead, Wilt goes wild. Nothing gets by him.
But what happened was Dolph Schayes was coach of the year that year. The next year he was gone. Gone. Wilt they got rid of him. He brought in Alex Hannum. Alex Hannum was a magnificent coach.
He was very demanding because he led the team in a system. Our system was get it in.
And if you cut and Wilt gave you the ball back and you missed the layup, he wouldn't give you the ball no more.
he demanded you to make the shot because he was about assists. He led to, I think he had about 10 or 11 assists that year.
After winning an NBA championship in 1967 with the Sixers, Wilt was traded again from Philadelphia to the LA Lakers in 1968. When his critics began to criticize his style of play, they said he shoots too much and all he can do is score.
So the Lakers get it. They go to Wilt with it. He's going to the basket.
Now Wilt had 7 scoring titles, but he changed his philosophy of the game after 1966.
2 seconds, Riley hits the shot.
Although many times he would outplay Bill Russell, he still would lose the game. So he got a lot of criticism. So he changed his philosophy along with getting a new coach. Most of earlier, the offense was geared to him to shoot every time. But now he allowed his teammates to become more involved.
West has a hole in the middle.
Wilt changes his style of play to complement the great all-around talents of all-stars Elgin Baylor and Jerry West.
The team consisted of Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, and Wilt Chamberlain. You can understand how none of us, the rest of us, if we took a shot, we got fired.
So he stopped shooting as much, so his average went down. But he led the league in assists. Wilt Chamberlain is the only center to ever lead the league in assists at 8 a game in 1968. And that probably will never happen again.
Back to Chamberlain. Give it to Goodrich, who was wide open.
But it was an enjoyable experience anyway. We almost came close to winning the championship. We lost to Boston in 7 games when Bill Van Bredekoff would not. He sat Wilt down for the last 4 or 5 minutes because they had, they really almost came to blows.
Wilt hobbles to the bench and does not return. In the last minutes of furious action, Don Nelson's jumper clinches the game for Boston. Russell's legacy is complete. In his 13 seasons, the Celtics win 11 world championships.
But that was another story that not many people know about.
Why did that happen?
Well, Wilt was a very opinionated kind of guy, and Bill Van Bredekoff was kind of opinionated, and being the coach, he thought his opinion counted more. Wilt had a different approach. Wilt had his game, and he wanted to play his game, and Bill Van Bredekoff thought that Wilt should run faster to get down court and should play more defense, etc. Didn't work out that way, and we lost that last game.
In 1972, he won another NBA title with the Lakers defeating the New York Knicks.
And the Los Angeles Lakers are the world champions of basketball. The Lakers conclude their basketball season with a record of 81 victories and only 16 defeats. If you would have asked me before the season started, could that ever be done by any team, I would have thought that you were crazy.
Do you know what the NBA rebound record is?
It's 55 rebounds by Wilt Chamberlain.
I am the greatest.
All right, how about your greatest center of all time? We take you into consideration in your great rivalry with Bill Russell. Undoubtedly, would you say you're the greatest center of all time?
Once again, that's something for people to make their own decision on. I did what I had to do from the center position. Bill Russell was the best I've ever played against. But today's centers, I'll take Olajuwon and Patrick Ewing.
The greatest player of all time, without a doubt, is Wilt Chamberlain. No one has done what he done. Now, you hear people say he wouldn't be able to play in the modern era. He didn't do it against no one. If you look at the speed that he had, that speed would be effective in any era. If you got a guy who can get his head over the rim, close to touching the top of the backboard, that kind of athleticism could be in any era.
Wilt was one of the greatest players I've ever seen in my whole life. He could play inside, outside, rebound, block, shots. People don't realize that Dick had a 20-foot fadeaway jump shot, and he banked it.
People saw Michael Jordan dominate people with the fadeaway jumper, unstoppable shot. Wilt Chamberlain invented the fadeaway.
I think probably Wilt dominated the game more than anyone else. And the reason I say that because Wilt could do it on both ends of the floor. Offensively, no one could guard it. And defensively, Wilt was going after every shot.
3 of the most glamorous players to ever play basketball are Connie Hawkins, Julius Erving, and Elgin Baylor, because they did all of the things that we dreamed about doing.
Dr. J saw Connie Hawkins doing the finger roll. Connie Hawkins saw Wilt Chamberlain doing a finger roll.
You have the 4 highest averages of all time, and I mentioned at the top of the show, and this is what's stunning to me, to average. And I don't know if people truly, the general public, truly can appreciate what it means to average 50 points a game over an entire season. Some guys just say, hey, they're in a zone if they scored 50 in one night. So you had to do that. When you look back, is that your greatest accomplishment?
Without a doubt. I used to think later on in the season, if I go out here tonight and score 39 points, I will have let my team down. I'm 11 points below whatever. They expect this from me, and this is what I have to go out there and do. No, it is, when I look back on it right now, that and probably playing 48.4 minutes a game for that entire season are the two things that I really reflect on as being the best I've ever done in basketball.
It took Kareem 20 years to amass as many points as he did. Well, it took Kareem a few years after Wilt retired to catch Wilt as a scoring champion.
He was like a freak of nature, though, because although he was skinny, they say he was close to 300 pounds. Even though he looked skinny, he had a natural strength.
There were statistics that they did not even keep until after Wilt retired. Anytime you change the rules of the game, to me, that's an indication that you must be a pretty special guy. So, yeah, to answer your question, I think he's the greatest player that ever played the game.
I think that I played in the golden age. I think that I played when athletes really, truly loved what they were doing. I think basketball was at its peak as far as the game being played correctly, technically, and with love, as I see it. And I'm very happy to have been a part of that. And I am not bitter. I'm a sports fan. I watch everything you can possibly watch. There are many great athletes out there and many people who are playing who feel the same way as I do. But there are too many out there who only are interested in making that buck.
People want to discredit Wilt's career. Like, he didn't play against nobody. Wilt's last 4 years was 7-footer Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's first 4. So Kareem was in his prime. Wilt was 33 years old. He played the last 4 years from 33 to 36 years old. All 4 years he led the league in rebound.
Because the game that was played in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s was the two-point game. The game that was played then was power. The most powerful was Wilt. The most strategic and smartest was Bill Russell. One of the most talented people that ever played basketball that was 6'11" was Walt Bellamy. The toughest guy, in my opinion, was Nate Thurman. The most gifted guy to play in that era was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
And people see the famous sky hook by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, unstoppable. Wilt Chamberlain had the running hook shot. He did it many a times on Bill Russell. And Bill Russell would be left standing flat-footed because there's no way to stop it.
The only person that I know that they changed the rules for after the game was Kareem, when they took away the dunk in college. But prior to that, any rule changes was because of Wilt Chamberlain.
So Kareem coming back in his prime, in the era which I say Wilt didn't play nobody, Kareem played in that era. Kareem didn't do what Wilt did. Kareem didn't average 50 in Wilt's era. Kareem didn't lead the league in rebounds in Wilt's era. He didn't lead the league in assists. He averaged 30, but he didn't average 50.
Cleveland! This is for you!
I was super ecstatic to win one for Cleveland because of the 52-year drought. Like, I was ecstatic. Like, obviously, I showed that the first wave of emotion was when y'all everyone saw me crying. Like, that was all for 52 years of everything in sports going on in Cleveland. And then after I stopped, I was like, that one right there made you the greatest player of all time.
If you are the greatest player, if people are saying you are the greatest player, or if people are saying Michael Jordan is the greatest player, why do you need to say it?
Right.
Michael Jordan has never, ever said he's the greatest player to ever play the game. Why? He's respected all the other players before him. So for LeBron to say that, he's sort of pulling himself out of it, because you can't say you're the greatest player. You have to allow your peers in the world to say that.
The next person who walks up to me and say, LeBron James, who is amazing, as good as Michael Jordan, or competes like Michael Jordan, I'm just going to slap the hell out of you right on the spot, and I'm going to take my chances with the judicial system.
I don't want it in a sense because I think it disrespects Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, all the guys that prior to me, I never had a chance to play against. What everybody's saying I am, I never had the chance to compete against other legends that was prior to me. When I hear it, I cringe a little bit because, it's a little bit embarrassing because no one knows, I never had the chance once again to play against those guys.
And I'm also saying, too, for those players out there today who maybe don't quite respect Michael as they should, almost all of them should be giving about 10% of their salaries to Michael because they, that's who they owe it to. You understand?
And 10% more maybe to Wilt.
Right? No, really. You understand?
In the 50s, they knew of Wilt Chamberlain in China. That's how big an athlete he was and is. You're not talking about, you go and say Joe DiMaggio to somebody in China, they don't know who Joe DiMaggio is. And Joe DiMaggio is a great athlete. This man is world renowned.
Best center, Russell or Chamberlain?
Chamberlain.
Best player ever, Michael Jordan or LeBron James or someone else?
Wilt Chamberlain.
Really?
90. Here's a guy, hasn't played in 40 years, still has 90-some records on the books.
Honestly, if you go by stats, you know what I mean?
Ask him who the best 1 through 5 right now.
Somebody averages 50 and 30.
I did not just say that.
Admired by nations and revered in old neighborhoods, Wilton Norman Chamberlain reached a place above all men who ever played basketball, a sport he learned at a legendary high school.
55 rebounds in one ball game.
Yeah.
Comment.
Yeah, the thing I like about that, it was against the best team in basketball, the Boston Celtics, you understand? So no one could say that, you just had a lollipop day.
But of all the records, one was so astounding it became a great moment in sports history. In 1962, he scored 100 points against the New York Knicks.
When I made the 100 points, I was averaging over 50 a game, so it was like doubling your average, And I was not that impressed at the time. But as I look at it and remember how hard those guys tried to keep me from scoring all of those points, I kind of chuckle.
Look at how the game evolved. Okay, you had dudes like Isaiah Thomas. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, I come around. You know what I mean? You got Jordan, and all of a sudden, Kobe come around. You know what I mean? And that's the way it's gonna be because the game is so great. It's gonna keep going on and on. We just like we saying we never seen a shooter like Steph. In a minute, somebody gonna come along and we gonna be comparing him to him.
You're gonna see a clone. Kobe is a clone of Mike. You might see a clone of LeBron. You'll never see a clone of you, bro.
My top 10 are Michael, Oscar, Bill Russell, Kareem, Wilt, Kobe, LeBron. Then you got Tim Duncan, and then you probably got Bird and Magic, and Jerry West right there. Those are my top 10.
I need one word answer, Chauncey. Greatest
Michael.
of all time. Greatest of all time, Jalen?
Airness.
Greatest of all time?
Unanimous.
Okay, thank you very much. That being said,
no disrespect to Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron James, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain. The best I've ever seen in my life is Michael Jordan.
You could bring them all back to the 60s. None of them going to lead the league in the 60s. You could bring Michael Jordan back. None of them going to lead the league in the 60s. None of them going to average 25 rebounds a game. Bring them all back. None of them going to average 50 a game.
The mentality of the fan today is wonderful when they've learned to accept showbiz.
Right.
And Michael is the epitome of showbiz, along with that great talent. During my time, if you did a 360, first of all, the opposition would take it as an insult that you would try to do something like that against them. The coach on your own team, if you weren't at least 90,000 points ahead, would bench you. And the fans would look at you like, well, he's the biggest hot dog in the world.
So you're saying Michael Jordan back then would have been on the bench the whole time?
Absolutely, being considered a hot dog. Think about that. And that's the truth.
Really?
But now in Chicago, if he doesn't give you one of those 360s you're talking about,
right?
Even though their team is 90 points ahead,
right?
They're looking for something spectacular.
The fans will turn on.
Right, you're right.
Back then it was more about teamwork, working together.
Absolutely.
What's happened to basketball?
So if he came in the modern era, he's not playing with these jokers. He trying to get numbers on you. You got David Robinson scoring 70 against a Clipper team with, I don't even know what the guy's name who was center. Yeah, 70. What do you think Wilt would have did? What, you think it's not possible for him to score 100? In the modern era, early in his career, he was an assassin. He was trying to destroy you. He was getting numbers on you. He wasn't playing with these guys.
The two most important figures in NBA history are Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Those guys saved the NBA. You know, we weren't all making a lot of money and doing endorsement before Magic and Bird saved the NBA.
A lot of guys like to put Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, put them in that category. They changed no rules for them. They were the beneficiaries of the game that was put down by these four guys. So historically, there's such a great history to the NBA. And our kids need to know that. They need to know these people that formatted this game for them.
The kids today, they know Jordan, they know Kobe, they know LeBron. But Wilt was first. Wilt Chamberlain set the standards for basketball. Everybody else came behind him.
And I think every time you see the Sports Center on ESPN, there's another record either that he's still holding or they're trying to show, make a comparison of where, you know, this player is, maybe a LeBron James or, you know, maybe a Russell Westbrook or, you know, with these double-doubles now, that kind of thing.
And the players today, they should have a fund because everything and all the benefits that they're reaping at this point in their careers, they wouldn't have it if there wasn't Wilt Chamberlain playing basketball.
He's won 2 NBA titles with 2 different franchises, 4 MVP awards, Rookie of the Year, 7 scoring titles, 13 All-Star games, 10 All-NBA first-team nods.
He has, by the way, still in the NBA record books, nearly 100 individual records that have not been broken. The most career rebounds. In one season, he averaged 50.4 points a game. The never-to-be-forgotten 100 points in a single game, a record that just may never be broken. A member of the Basketball Hall of Fame. Thank you.
I am the greatest.
But it was an enjoyable time. Wilt was quite a character. You know, he's very competitive. We used to play chess on the plane rides, and you know, Wilt, he needed to win so bad, he would make up the rules as he went.
Well, we got to talk about this. Yeah. You made a statement, and this statement's going to follow you around for a while. That you slept with 20,000 women. You made that statement. Now, and I got to say that's the kind of thing that you say, and then people bring it up later on.
Is it basketball?
Yes.
Wilt the still?
Why are you driving a Raptor?
Because it has more headroom than my Rolls Royce.
It's TWA's new ambassador class to the East Coast, with enough room for anybody.
Even if you're 7'1" or taller. Little.
I have in my possession a signed contract for him to fight Muhammad Ali. I mean, that was actually going to happen.
I'd accept your challenge as soon as I'm finished with a few more contenders, if I beat them.
Well, then I can't get your signature on that line, but
just hold your pen. Don't rush things.
How long? How long?
When 7'1" Wilt Chamberlain tried to get in a Volkswagen, people said it couldn't be done.
Oh, man.
It couldn't. Of course, there's plenty of room for Bill Cunningham, but then he's only 6'6".